Good morning, Year 3-4, and welcome to today's learning journey. As you know, we've been looking at how does a plant's environment affect its growth, and yesterday we investigated how much water, light and compost a plant needs for healthy growth. And just leading on from that, and something that perhaps we didn't quite have time to cover yesterday, is we saw that actually the more light and compost we used, the healthier the plants grew. The reason for this, for compost, is because actually it has loads of nutrients that the plant needs for healthy growth. And we might remember that it's the roots that pull in all these nutrients from the soil and compost that help the plant to grow nice and tall and strong. The light, as we also saw, the more light a plant can have, the more light it has for photosynthesis. This is basically what a plant does when it grows. It uses light and water and nutrients, and it uses it in a formula which helps the plant to grow. With limited light, a plant can only grow to a certain size. So we saw yesterday in our experiment that the more compost and light used, if we used 100% compost and light, the healthier a plant can grow. However, this wasn't the case with water. We also saw that without water a plant cannot grow. However, too much water can limit the weight of a plant. It almost needs to be just right. And remember, we saw on our chart yesterday that about 60% of water available is about the perfect amount of water we could have used. Today, we're going to move on from that. We're going to think about creating a success criteria for our plant growing guide. So at the end of this, we're going to be creating a plant growing guide. We're going to be creating a leaflet or a poster or just a page of information about how we can get plants to grow effectively. So we've got to think about different types of plants. We've got to think about what we're going to give them: water, light, compost. We've got to think about the different environments that they might be able to grow in or they might not. So there's going to be lots of information on this. So to do that, we're going to create a success criteria to know what we need to include. For our success criteria, we're going to need this box. Now I've put a template for this box on Class Dojo, which you can use, or you can draw it yourself. It's up to you now. So can you please pause the video and either draw your template or get the one I've put on the class story on Class Dojo. Okay, now you've done that, it's time to go through our success criteria and think about what we're going to need. Well, the purpose of our writing is to inform. We need to tell the reader how to grow plants really well. We need to come up with a really good plant growing guide to inform our reader how they could best grow plants. So what effects are we going to need? Well, actually, we're going to need it to be factual. If it's not factual, then it might not be the truth. And actually, if we want our reader to be able to look at this plant growing guide and then go away and be able to grow plants. So we're going to have to use facts. And within this, we're going to have to use statistics, scientific vocabulary, because we are the experts, and we're going to have to give explanations. So by doing that, we're going to have to say you are going to need as much a really light area because. Okay, we also need it to be interesting. We want pictures, we want diagrams and graphs showing your data. We're going to want colour, else it's not going to be very interesting. And if it's not interesting, then no one's going to want to read it. So we're going to need it to be really, really interesting. And then finally, it's going to have to be structured. You're going to need a title. You're going to need subheadings. If you're writing about a plant's, what a plant needs to grow, then you're going to need a subheading. If you're writing about different environments, then you're going to need a subheading for that particular piece of work. And finally, you're going to need different paragraphs. You might write a paragraph on water. You might write a paragraph on light. You might write a paragraph on pollination. Okay, so you have to have different paragraphs, different subheadings, and a title. Can you please fill in the different parts of your success criteria like I have, and then we're going to think of perhaps some examples we can use. Pause the video and fill in the success criteria, and then we'll go through some examples. Now we've done that, we're going to think of some examples. So, for example, you're going to have to come up with an idea for your title. What could your title be? It could be a plant growing guide, or perhaps you might write how to grow healthy plants. That could be your example of your title. Next, you could think of some of your subheadings. Okay, what could our subheadings be? Well, perhaps you'll have a subheading on what a plant needs to grow. Or perhaps you have a subheading on light. Plant parts. Or you could have the different parts of a plant. So think about your different subheadings you're going to have. Perhaps you're going to have a different part on the different parts of a plant, the different things a plant needs to grow really well, and maybe the different environments your plant can grow in. Perhaps you can include some scientific vocabulary. What could you include? Perhaps you could think of some statistics or facts you have learned. What colour are you going to include? What pictures? Instead of perhaps writing about the parts of a plant, you might include a diagram with labelled parts of plants. Go around now and think of some examples you could give for when you write your plant growing guide. I look forward to seeing what examples you put on your success criteria, and that will then be a really helpful thing for when you come to write your plant growing guide. Good luck!